just getting back to the federal government in terms of this, what their response has been. My biggest thing has just been the rhetoric and their language and, the denial of what's happening almost. And I think if they took it more seriously and supported, I know the federal dollars go to finding a cure or finding vaccines and stuff like that. And I know that they're pouring a lot into that stuff. I think there's something to be said, and this is a separate issue, but there's something to be said for being a good orator and making people feel like they're in good hands. Like we spend all this money, we give all these taxes, we are part of this union, and dude's just not helping out at all. He's in terms of like I can't look to this guy and feel comforted by, okay, they've got the handle on this. They know what they're doing in terms of, they're taking this seriously, and that's all I want to hear.
Right.
Even if they're doing the same thing they're doing, on action level right now, if they're doing the same thing,
literally nothing could change. But as long as you felt more confident about it,
I am admitting that. I feel like they just didn't take it seriously. They were just always saying, "It's not as bad. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's not bad."
Right.
And then as soon as the poll numbers go down,
as
soon as Biden in his basement is doing much better than you. Oh, maybe I'll wear a mask. That's my best impression, by the way.
I'm
just kidding.
Yeah.
No, I totally understand that that's a dumb thing to think, but
No, nobody has felt secure.
No one's felt secure.
And I feel like there was pluses and minuses to that, frankly. Nobody has felt secure ever since he took office. And I think that there is both a positive and a negative to that.
Yeah. The secure aspect in terms of the pandemic is important.
Right. But you also have to, and this was the source of contention in the conversation, this particular conversation that I had earlier today, I was like, well, in order to make people feel secure on some level, that means that you are willing to be lied to.
Yeah.
Right. Because
yeah, I hear you.
That's what it necessitates. I'm and I use the example, not that I'm trying to be insulting to the American public, but it's kind of like when you're dealing with children and complicated issues. You don't tell them
you'll omit some stuff,
every bit of it, because
you don't want them to overreact.
Right.
Yeah. It's not helpful.
Yeah. So if you want to feel secure, then you are accepting of a government, of entities that are willing to at least withhold certain information from you.
Yeah.
And do we want that? Because I feel like the natural instinct for a lot of people is well, no, I want the truth, but do you?
Can you handle the truth?
Can you? Damn it.
Well, it's true.
I know.
Can you handle the truth? I don't know. You know what? If I don't know if you have one or the other. I think you can tell the truth, but you can also
that's why we have classified documents.
No, truth. Okay, I'm going to talk about the pandemic.
Sure.
You can talk about the truth in relation to the pandemic. Understand that it's happening. Understand the gravity of it, and radiate that as well. Take it seriously. Be like, look, the best thing we can do as individuals, social distance. Wear a mask when you can't do it, or wear a mask when you're out in public in general. Wash your hands. All the great stuff that we can do on an individual level. Just keep saying that to people and to understand, hey, we have to sacrifice. We have to do a lot of sacrificing right now. I mean, a couple generations past had to do the same thing for World War II.
Yep.
They sacrificed a lot more. And honestly, I would rather deal with the pandemic than deal with the Nazis and Japan. And the sacrifices that Americans made back then were incredible. Not only the human sacrifice that we had to endure, but just financial, everything. Everyone at home had to make sure they just pared down what they ate, pared down everything. We're not really being asked to do that. All we're being asked to do is a few little things to make sure that we don't spread this virus unnecessarily. And I think the federal government has a huge role to play in doing that. They're not forced. Maybe they don't force it in terms of that, but maybe they do take it seriously and be truthful about how serious this thing is. Don't shy away from the truth on that. Don't try to win over people and saying, it's a Democratic hoax, stuff like that. But be truthful about it, but also display confidence, and not in like blind confidence, but confidence like we can beat this thing if we work together. We can beat this thing if we do these things. I'm asking you to do this, and we're going to do this. And I'm talking to all the governors at all the states. I'm talking to the Congress people who represent you. I'm talking to the Senate. We are all in line. We want everyone to be good. But instead, we're not hearing that. And I know this is my complaint against this specific administration, this specific federal government right now. But I think that's how you would handle that. Because I like what you're saying about the mandate. I don't like what you're saying, but like I understand what you're saying about the mandate like idea. If a federal government mandates something and we allow it to go through, what else are we saying yes to in the future?
Right.
I understand that we've already opened ourselves up to a lot of things in our past, especially after 9/11 in our lifetime. So you're about to make a point.
Yes.
And I cut you off.
No, that's fine. No, you should finish your point. However, even what you're talking about still leaves the door open for the exact same protests against wearing masks, the exact same arguments of it's an infringement of my liberties. Right. I don't have to.
Okay.
Right. And so does it like
community ostracization,
which will naturally happen.
Yes.
But like that's not a conversation to have through the government.
Yeah.
That's not a political conversation at that point.
I agree. If the government isn't mandating masks and we don't allow them to do that to I don't know, we don't give them that extra thing above us to hold over our heads. It is up to society to shame people into submission, I guess, for better or worse.
Right.
And I know we see that a lot. I'm sure you're online. You're seeing all these videos of these anti-maskers being berated.
Right.
It is a business's right to...
And the other way, too. Anti-maskers berating other people.
Of course, yeah.
Right.
But it is a business's right. Like, someone who's an anti-masker, and they're going to, like, a Costco, and they're yelling at people. Right. And, like, it's like, hey, it's Costco's absolute right to deny you service if you're not going to put up with it. It's also, in a lot of states, I know in Maryland, it's a state order. So it's like not even even if the company wanted you in their place, they're legally not allowed to let you in.
Right.
So that's a separate issue, I know.
Which is actually, but it is, but it isn't. Because in a different country with different values, that company actually doesn't have that liberty.
To allow you or not allow you?
Correct.
Yeah.
And like that's something that is also unique to that.
It's up to the government,
right?
Yeah,
yeah. The government can go business. You have to do this.
Yeah, it was big news the other day when I think Walmart had said all its WalMarts and Sam's Clubs and all that are going to across the United States proper going to enforce the mask rule if you come into their stores. I know that was kind of big news.
And so the question is it us? Like that's kind of where what I'm really trying to get at when it comes to like these criticisms of the government and how our government functions, because as much as there is individual liberties for one person to be horrible or not follow any sort of suggestion or not be safe, there are also the liberty of other people to operate in such a way that they can ostracize those people, that they can decide, I don't, and where those lines are drawn, people argue about too, because then you have the argument of does a business have the right to deny? So like, does the cake maker have the right to not do a homosexual wedding? Like whatever, but like that is also liberty can be a counterbalance to liberty, is kind of what I'm getting at.
I hear you.
And so, it's one of these things where how is the problem how we are functioning, how we are intended to function, the ideals put forward, the mythos. Is that the problem? Or is it the fact that we have gotten into this scenario where we have, in my opinion, abdicated ourselves from our own responsibility as free people? Because we want the government to go, do this, mandate this, or show this sort of confidence. We literally
talked about this last time. Like, giving away more of our freedoms so that we can say, I think I said daddy government.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. And so it's like, I feel like we keep, every year that goes by, we lean further in that direction where we want the government to handle things.
Well, that we probably shouldn't be.
We can handle ourselves.